beautiful, and thank you for clicking on today's video. Today's video is part of a two-part series with regards to what I am packing for a 2 to 3 week trip all throughout Europe and also New York. I am packing everything that I need for that trip into this one small backpack. And in last week's video where I showed you the clothing that I was packing, I talked about how and why I'm able to take this huge of a trip. So if you're interested into the how and why, you can go ahead and watch that video. It's going to be linked in the description box down below. Just a quick recap in case you don't want to go watch that video or you're not interested in the clothing that I'm packing for this trip. As it stands right now, at the time of filming, I am planning to fly to New York on Friday. Right now it's Wednesday, so in just a couple of days I'm planning to fly to New York. We're going to be spending the weekend there and then flying to Poland after that. In Poland, we're going to be spending some time with some of my husband's family, and then from that point on, we don't actually know where we're going as of right now. We know that we're probably gonna be staying in the continent of Europe. We had ideas to toss around possibly going to Asia, but as it stands right now, that's looking like pretty much a 0% chance. So we're looking mostly at Europe for this trip. And like I said, everything does have to fit into this one bag just for ease of travel. In last week's video, I showed you all of the clothing that I was packing for this trip, and in today's video, I'm gonna be showing you everything else that's being packed. So with all of that being said and explained, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Okay, so getting into it, I just sort of have this huge pile in front of me. Starting off, I have this hair towel. It might seem a little high maintenance to bring your own hair towel with you, but I find that a lot of Airbnb owners, especially male Airbnb owners, don't provide enough towels. It's like they don't consider women need two, one for hair, one for body. So I always bring this. It also is made out of microfiber, so it cuts the drying time in my hair in half, and I need my hair to be like 70% dry before I can even bother hitting it with a blow dryer. Otherwise, I'm gonna be standing in the bathroom with a blow dryer for like hours. So this seems high maintenance to pack, but it is actually like a time saver. And this one is really, really big. It's like a little hair turban. I like it a lot. It's from the brand Kitsch. If you're interested, I found it at TJ Maxx, but I know they have it at Ulta. At the midway point of this trip, and possibly at other I don't know how long this trip is going to be. It might be like between 2 and 3 weeks. But at some point, I'm going to need to do laundry, and I have a lot of items that are sort of more on the delicate side. So I brought 2 like lingerie bags to be able to put my clothing in here, just so in case it is kind of a crummier washing machine, it doesn't ruin my clothes. I unfortunately had that problem when I was in Russia. The washing machine in my mother-in-law's house, the coldest that it got was 30-something degrees Celsius, which was still way too hot, and I ended up ruining a couple sweaters of mine. So hopefully that'll help. Moving next, and this is actually a brilliant beauty tip for anybody. I use these in my regular life, but also when traveling. This is called a dressing square, and it's basically a cut-up t-shirt. And what you do is once you've put on your makeup and it's time to pull your shirt over your head, you don't want to get makeup all over your shirt, so you just pull the shirt over, and then this cloth is dirty, but nothing else is. And I call it a dressing square. I don't know what it's actually called, or if it even has a name. But funny story, when I did this once, just randomly one day in my bathroom, my husband looked at me and he was like, "Did you come up with that yourself?" And I was like, I mean, I guess. He was like, "That's so smart. That is a beautiful, like, wonderful solution for a problem that I've never even had to consider." And I'm like, thanks. But that's my dressing square, so if you don't know about it, now you do. I have 3 plastic bags. I bring these on every trip I go on, and I almost always use them for something, whether it's a bathing suit or I don't know, whatever. Like, I can't even tell you because it's been different things every single time. So I have one like shopping bag, one small Ziploc that's like TSA approved, and then one large Ziploc. And like I said, they always get used. So when they can get reused, I reuse them, and when they can't, they get thrown out. But these are kind of older looking. I don't know if you can tell, they've been used a few times. Next, I'm bringing one mask From what I understand, most of the EU has lifted mask requirements and restrictions if you're fully vaccinated, which I am. But I'm bringing one just in case, and then I figure if I need more, I can buy them. So I'm gonna bring the one. I also, in the event that I need it on the flight, because I think flights have also lifted those restrictions, but if I do need it on the flight, I'll just buy disposable ones in the airport, because they'll be available, I'm sure. I have this little coin pouch that is originally from Shein. I think I got this at Plato's Closet, I think, maybe Goodwill, but this is just where I keep my change in. The very first time I went to Europe, I was surprised by how little credit cards were used. Cash, in not all European countries, but in most of the ones that I've been to, with the exception of Eastern Europe, cash was still king. So you walk away with a lot of coins because the €1 is also a coin. So I promised myself I would never make the mistake of not having a coin pouch again. So I got a coin pouch and now I'm gonna use it. So this is just the one that I have, and it currently has euros and possibly rubles in it right now. Do I have any rubles? Yeah, so I have some euros and some rubles. I probably won't be using the rubles on this trip, obviously, but the euros were from my last trip. The exchange rate in the US is bad, so I just sort of kept them until my next European trip, which, who would have thought it would be so many years away thanks to COVID. I have this little pouch which holds all of my electronics and also some of my safety gear. Now, if you're traveling alone as a woman, you probably already know about this safety gear, but I use it even when I'm traveling with people, just because you never know. People are freaks out there in the world. So starting off with this pouch, I have this alarm door stopper that I actually need to buy a battery for. But how it works is you switch it on and then you put it in your door for like your Airbnb or whatever. And if this gets triggered, it sets off an alarm, which is blaringly loud from the reviews on Amazon. And I use this because we usually travel via Airbnb, and you don't know who has a key, you know? It's just safety, you know? You never know. Okay, next, in the realm of safety, I haven't caught a camera yet, but a lot of Airbnbs and even hotels rooms have those little itty bitty cameras in the little inconspicuous places. So what this is, my husband actually thought that I was crazy when I first bought this and started using it, until he talked to his friend who works in security, and his friend in security was like, I have one of those too. And then my husband shut the hell up. So basically this finds cameras, because cameras, when they're on like a black reflective surface, apparently the red light can help you see them better. And it's true, because when I look at like my computer, I can see the camera lens when I look through this. So it works, I have it, and then in this little pouch is also the charging cord for it. So those are my two kind of big safety things. Rolling in next to other electronics, I have a power adapter. This does not convert wattage. I learned that when I almost blew up my steamer in Russia. I plugged in this and then I plugged in my steamer and the wattage was not the same and the steamer like almost exploded. So this is good for like phones and computers, but not for like flat irons or blow dryers or whatever. I often don't blow dry my hair when I'm traveling. I'll wash it at night and then wet set it. But sometimes hotels and Airbnbs have their own blow dryers. I never pack one. Next is phone charging cord and plug. Pretty self-explanatory. I have a pair of headphones in the event that my AirPods die. I love my AirPods. They have a very, very long battery life. They also charge incredibly quickly, but I don't want to be caught on an airplane and then screwed. So I do bring these even though I usually don't need them. And then lastly is a charging bank for my phone. And that's it in this little pouch here. And that's just sort of to keep it all wrangled and organized. Next on the list are things that are disposable and I'm not intending to come back with. I don't know what it is. Whenever I'm traveling, and I guess it's because I don't have the ability to store things in a vehicle like I do here in the US, but when I'm traveling, I find that I often need to carry more with me in my purse because more things come up. Like I typically need wet wipes, I need tissues, I need napkins in a way that I don't recall like needing as much in the United States. So I do bring a bigger purse, and I'll show it to you. I showed it to you in that clothing video too, but this is my biggest purse that I own, and it's the one that I bring with me when I'm traveling, particularly in Europe. Also, in Europe, bathrooms cost money. Not everywhere. And a lot of places, like the Netherlands, for example, if you're eating at an establishment, you can go to the bathroom for free, similar to the US. But when I was in Dusseldorf and other parts of Germany, you could eat at a restaurant and still have to pay like €1 to €2 to use the bathroom. And a lot of times after a meal or before a meal, I go to the bathroom just to wash my hands. So I have a bunch of wet wipes from various restaurants. Some of these are even from like my last trip to Russia. So I have sanitizing wipes and regular wet wipes just for kind of whatever comes up. And I imagine I won't be coming home with these, but I do pack them if I have them. So I have them and I'm packing them. On that same vein as tissues, I don't know if I have more allergies in Europe or if I just, because I can't just go into the bathroom and like grab toilet paper anywhere, I notice that I need tissues more, but I do have these 2 packs of tissues from my last trip to Russia, and this is also in Russian, so Russia, and I'm just gonna bring them, and then when they're out, they're out. Wet ones I always bring to sanitize the plane station, so like the tray table and the armrest and the buckle. Even before COVID, I would always sanitize at least my area of the plane when I was on a plane, because I found that when I took long flights, I would almost always get sick. And my dad, who used to work for an airlines, he told me that they don't really, maybe this has changed with COVID, but they don't really effectively clean the plane in between people. They deep clean it like once every 3 months. And there's been times where I've like pulled down the tray table and there's been like gum on it and other crud. So it's not being cleaned, and before I eat and drink off of it, I like to clean it. So I always bring these on every trip, even national trips. And then also for the plane, gum. Next in the land of disposables are these laundry pods. I typically just use either liquid or powder detergent, but I do have a bag of laundry pods specifically for travel, because I can only use fragrance-free laundry detergent. I have very sensitive skin, especially for my underwear. So I can't, unfortunately, like a lot of people traveling and backpacking through Europe, they'll just drop their bag of laundry off at some laundry place and then pick it up 4 hours later when it's done. Unfortunately, I don't get that luxury just because of my sensitive skin. So I'm bringing these so that I can do laundry. I'm bringing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And in the event that they don't all get used, I'll be giving them to my friend who's going to be staying in Europe in an Airbnb for like multiple months with his wife. So either way they're getting used, they just might not all be used by me. But either way, they're not coming home. Next, I think that's it for disposables with the exception of this water bottle. I typically will bring a reusable water bottle for trips. However, once again, the last time I went to Europe, I noticed, and I've noticed this every single time I've gone to Europe. At least in I don't want to say all of Europe as if it's like, you know, one small town. Like, it's like saying all of the US when obviously there's differences. So these are generalizations, just understand that. But for all of the many different parts of Europe that I have been to date, there were not a lot of options to fill up your water bottle anywhere. Even in airports, there wasn't water fountains where you could even, like the ones that go like this, where you have to hold the water bottle and fill it up. So I found that having a reusable water bottle was extra weight, which was really frustrating because I had to keep buying plastic water bottles. So I'm bringing this because I do like to have water on the flight. So for the flight to New York and for the flight to Poland, I will have water. And in the event that it happens where we're going to, the countries that we're going to, it's the same situation where I can't just fill up my water bottle everywhere. I can recycle this and not have it be dead weight on my back. So that's why I'm bringing a plastic one as opposed to a reusable one. And I'm actually really grateful that I had this because the only reason I have this is because I was sick from my COVID vaccine and I needed electrolytes, so I got Gatorade. So I saved that, I pulled it out of the recycling bin to bring it. Next, I'm gonna finish up with the oddball items, and then I'm gonna get into medication and toiletries and makeup. So oddball items, I have my sunglasses. These are my prescription sunglasses. They're the only sunglasses that I own, with the exception of like a cheapy plastic pair that I wear when I go on the river or whatever. Next, I have a deck of cards for time in the hotel with the friends that we're going to be traveling with. I have a sewing kit, a mini sewing kit, along with a teeny tiny pair of scissors, both of which have come in handy traveling before. Mini nail file, super handy traveling. I will typically get my nails done before a trip, but because we're going to be gone for so long, there's no amount of gel or acrylic that would last that entire amount of time. So what I'm going to do instead is bring these little press-on nails and then put them on the plane to Poland, and as they fall off, just replace them. And then, you know, that's that on that with the press-on nails. A pen for filling out documents on an airplane. It's interesting because almost every airplane internationally I've been on has you fill out documents, and almost never do they have more than like 3 pens on board the airplane. So I bring my own. This is a purse hook because I don't like putting my purse behind me on the seat for it to get stolen. So this little hook hooks it to a table so it can be not on my lap when I'm trying to eat a meal. This is Old Bay seasoning and also some cookies. These are gonna be gifts for my husband's family who we're gonna be staying with for a couple days in Poland. I don't have a lot of room for gifts, but these are really yummy cookies that are only available in the United States. These are actually some of my favorite cookies, Milanos. And then seasoning. It's good on fish and chicken, and I think it's mild enough that they'll enjoy it, and it's very small. So I know that seems like an odd gift, but seasonings and teas and things like that I think are good gifts. So that's what I'm bringing. This is my little jewelry pouch. It actually originally was a medication pouch, but I've turned it into jewelry. I'm bringing 2 necklaces, 3 pairs of earrings, my fake engagement ring, and a bracelet. Oh no, a watch, and that's it. Now we're gonna be talking medication. This is what I keep my medication in, and I know that you can buy medication abroad. However, I have been sick abroad before, and it is inconvenient, especially if you happen to need that medication when all the pharmacies are closed. So I do bring some medication, enough that fits in this pouch, just for sort of like the common ailments, and then if I happen to get very sick, I'm aware that I can go to a pharmacy to get medication that I need. I have these, which are from Russia, and they're basically like ginger chews if you have an upset stomach. They're also good for motion sickness. I have my, and I'm covering this up because it has personal information on it, I have my actual ADHD medication, which is the off-brand of Ritalin, and I bring it in its original container because of TSA. I don't want them taking away medication that I need because it's like undisclosed in some random container. I have Tums for acid. I have Advil and Tylenol. I have antibiotic cream along with some bandages. I have rubbing alcohol sterile pads, which I often use on like my tweezers or nail clippers, but they can also be used to disinfect a cut. I have hydrocortisone for topical allergies, itchiness, which happens to me, especially right here behind my ear, quite often. I have nail clippers and nail nippers. I have just a few melatonin to sort of get my body into the different time zone the first few nights. Some Benadryl for really bad allergies that I might incur. And then I have a couple of different types of teas. I have a laxative tea, which is a lesson that I learned the hard way when I was in Romania that I should be packing with me. And then I have throat coat, which is really good if you have a sore throat. And all of those got used on my husband when he got stuck in Russia due to catching COVID. Somehow he got COVID and I didn't. So I passed a PCR test and was able to get on the plane and get home. He was not. He was stuck in Russia for like an additional 2.5 weeks. So the throat coat stayed with him and it was very helpful to him. So now, and also then, I always pack it. Moving on to makeup. So I don't go bare bones, but I mean, my makeup in general is pretty minimal. This is almost all of the makeup I own. And it just fits in this little pouch. So on this top pouch here, I have Q-tips, which I do use in my ears, and you can't stop me. And then here's where I keep 4 makeup brushes. 3 of them are drying right now. I have a powder makeup face brush, I have a blush brush, and then I have like an eyeshadow blending brush. Those are, again, drying right now because I just cleaned them, but they would go here. And then in the other pouch, it looks like this. And like I said, this is pretty much all the makeup I own, and it's pretty basic. So I have, this is new to me, this is a tinted sunscreen by the brand Color Science, and I use it as a foundation. In addition, I have a powder foundation and a blush, both powder, 2 mascaras. That's how I get my eyelashes to look the way they do. I do use 2 mascaras. I have 1 eyebrow product, eyeshadow sticks. I do this one in the inner part and this one in the outer part, and then smudge it out, and that's my eyeshadow look. Chapstick, lip gloss, and a red lipstick. I do love red lipstick, but sometimes what I'll also do is just dab on the red lipstick and then sort of smear it out for the look that I actually have right now. So a red lipstick is actually very versatile because depending upon how much or how little you use, you have essentially a totally different lip color on your lips. Rolling into skin and body care, I have this bar of Dove soap that, again, I have sensitive skin, so I need to bring my own unscented fragrance-free body wash. I use this on my body, I use this to clean my makeup brushes. In a pinch, I'll use this to wash my face or even my underwear in the sink of a hotel. So I bring this and then I wrap it in a washcloth as opposed to the little plastic soap container because it dries it better. It's easier to store. It's also smaller. Earplugs, I use them every night to sleep. Deodorant, wish I had a smaller one, but it is what it is. Hair comb, I have hair ties and clips. This is my tweezers. Dry shampoo, I pulled this from my guest bedroom. I might even be able to use it up on this trip. Toothbrush and toothpaste. Hand sanitizer. Perfume. Gloss. I have my prescription retinoids. I have a daytime prescription ointment and a nighttime tretinoin. Vitamin C serum that I use every single morning. Hand cream. Hair oil. I have my oil cleanser that takes off my sunscreen and makeup, and then my facial cleanser that I do a 2-step cleansing, so that's for my face. I have 3 containers of the CeraVe moisturizing cream. I use this on my face and my body, and my husband also uses this as an aftershave lotion, so that's why I have 3 of them. My travel razor, and then I have 2 baby Aquaphors. I love Aquaphor as like my preferred lip balm, and when I was at the dermatologist recently, I saw these in a little sample jar, so I asked for some, and they gave me some. And then the very last thing is my niacinamide that I use every single night serum. And that is everything that's gonna fit into that backpack, with the exception of my clothing, which, like I said, is in a different video. Thank you so much for watching this video to the end. Thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing if you're not already subscribed. And with all of that being said, I'll see you next week with another video. Bye!